conversation. Here in the studio we have Céline Schmitt, who is from the UNHCR, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Thank you very much for being with us. What are your thoughts about this new document that has been signed by the major EU states?
It's very good that some initiatives like that are taking place, because there is a need for an EU response, a common response by the EU member states, by the EU countries, to respond to the current refugee influx into Europe. Because the majority of the people who are coming into Europe now are in fact people who are fleeing conflict, war or violence. The majority of them are coming from Syria. They are fleeing war in Syria. And the countries who are receiving the refugees, like Greece, Italy, the ex-Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, they need the help of other EU countries to be able to respond to the current emergency.
Then you get someone like Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, who says that law and order should be reinstated on the borders. Clearly he isn't in favour of bringing in migrants.
We understand that security is an issue for countries, but also it's very important to always remember that the people who are coming are in fact refugees. They are fleeing war, they're fleeing conflict. They would not cross the sea, risk their lives, risk the lives of their children if it wasn't to look for safety and security. And when they arrive in Europe, they have to be treated with dignity, humanity. They need to be protected, and above all, they need humanitarian assistance.
That aspect of dignity and humanity, if you think about the conditions at the so-called jungle site near Calais, for instance, I mean, that's hardly a dignified way to treat people. France now saying they'll build a camp.
France, is taking action. They have announced a few actions that they're going to put in place. What is also very important there, again, is that many of the people who are in Calais are also fleeing violence, are also fleeing persecutions. Some come from Syria, others come from Sudan, Somalia, Eritrea. And it's very important for them to be able to access asylum in France and to have decent living conditions.
Okay, so you want action from the EU, you want action from all the states. How about your group? How about the United Nations, the High Commission for Refugees? Are you doing enough? People at home might be saying, are you being proactive?
We are ready. We are already helping EU states, and we are ready to continue to help. We have sent teams to Greece, to Italy, to Serbia. We have teams there helping the countries to respond to the emergency, distributing emergency assistance. We're also helping the countries to make sure people can have access to asylum, and we will continue to do so.
Where do you stand on the people traffickers and taking action against them? Because there have been some people who say, you know, we should try and literally attack them where they are on the coast of Libya and stop them in that way. Is that something that you would be in favour of?
It's also very important, yes, to fight against human trafficking. And one thing that can be done against that is to find legal ways for people to come to Europe. Currently, they have to cross a sea, and then they have to travel to reach Europe. If other solutions could be found, like what we call resettlement of refugees, or visa for protection issues, or family reunification, that would be a solution to fight against human trafficking, for example. But stopping people from fleeing from their countries is not the solution.
Some people politically, and I'm thinking Marine Le Pen, for instance, here in France, and each European country has its equivalent person who has that far-right viewpoint. Some people politically are just against any kind of migration, against any kind of foreigners coming in, and that's their political standpoint. But would you point out that on the other side of that, there is an economic opportunity here to maybe boost jobs, maybe boost productivity, to create almost a market with people coming in as a fresh labour force?
Yeah, I can give you a few good examples
Please.
on that. For example, refugees from Syria who have been resettled to France, which means that France has welcomed them as refugees. They have been resettled to small villages where there was a threat to close the school because there weren't enough children in those villages. Thanks to the refugees, the schools are still open. The school could remain open. Also, in some of the villages, there were no doctors. And because among the Syrian refugees, there was a doctor. There is again a doctor in the village. So I think it's also very important to point out these positive points.
Okay, Céline, we could talk more, but I'm afraid to say we have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. That's Céline Schmitt from the UNHCR talking about the migrant crisis in the broadest sense that we possibly could. And thank you for your insight and all those examples that you gave us. Excellent stuff indeed.